I am ready to go.
Let's rock.
What?
Let's rock and
Let's
roll.
rock, man. Okay. Today, everybody, this is going to be something very, very different today. I am so fortunate. This doesn't happen all the time, but it's happening right now. I love connecting with people that I really can connect with. And Roxy Hops is one of those people. And I love how you'll bump into people in your life when you're really pursuing the things that you are going after. And money is not money is not the main thing you're looking for. It's making a difference. We need to know who we are. We need to understand how to become the person that we're supposed to be. And then I know, and Roxy knows, things will come into our lives. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about who she is, because I want you to know who you're about to listen to and what she just did in the last few days. And it's such a great time to have the first podcast after she's attended this event. So let me get into this. I want you to know who Roxy Hops is. She's an amazing woman. And what connected us together is we have a similarity with making a difference in people's lives, kindness, helping people overcome mental health issues and things like this. But we're from two different generations. It's incredible. So Roxy Hops is a resilience coach. I love the words that she used. But wait till you see what she does. You'll find out after this episode. All the links will be there. Wait till you see what she does. But she's a resilience coach. I love that. But she doesn't use just words. That's what I like about it. She doesn't use, well, what would sound good to promote what I do? And because I need to get clients. She's not like that. She's making a difference already in people's lives that are in her space. So you'll find out. So being a resilience coach and a mental health advocate, and a social entrepreneur dedicated to empowering individuals and communities through adversity. That's her kind of opening statement that she has. But there's so much more to her. I want to bring a little bit into this before we get to the event that you were at. So we'll hold off on that for a few minutes. I want people to really know who you are. When she was 15, she won a competitive exchange program that took her to the U.S. From where? From Russia. And she ignited a lifelong passion for exploring different cultures and challenging limiting beliefs. Think about that. This is incredible. So over the past decade, Roxy's journey has took her on unexpected turns, which we're all going to have. It's going to happen. So when she faced a series of profound personal difficulties, losses, and challenges, and they're hard, core things. We've all been through them, we faced them, but how do we deal with them is what makes a difference. Who do we become makes a difference. So she had a devastating divorce. That's horrific. And the impact of the Ukraine-Russia war on her family, it's just, her story is just so incredible. And including, I couldn't believe it when I found this out about you. She had a tragic loss of her sister due to suicide. So we're talking about someone here, Roxy, who has, if you didn't know this about her and you just saw her just as wonderful and positive as she is, you would not know what she has been through. She has been through a lot. And love and kindness and compassion are necessities in her life. That's how we connected. I love how life brings people together. It's so great. And it's not luxuries that she's pursuing. This is key. So without having kindness, love, compassion, and necessities, humanity cannot survive. And at a day and age we're living in now, it is unbelievable what's going on. Just the conversations that are going on out there, and people are missing kindness. They're missing loving one another. They're missing being people and not talking about politics. It's not just politics. It's such a deep situation. But the bottom line is, if we don't feel loved, if we don't feel cared for, if we don't feel like we're helped, then our course for happiness and peace, it doesn't happen. So with that, now I'm going to talk about what she attended in an event recently and what she's doing and what she's doing. Like her website, it's incredible what she's doing. But her name is, and I had to ask her this because this is such a cool name. It's Roxy Hops. Welcome, Roxy.
Thank you Ed, so much for introduction. It's lovely to hear how people speak about me because, it's another thing when I present myself and I am really, really know what I stand for, but it's another thing to hear that recognition. And I am really honored to be on your show. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm really glad when we met. I can't even remember how we bumped into each other. It doesn't even matter. But I really enjoyed the first time we just had a conversation. I like meeting people before they come on the show and just getting to know people, because actually that kind of connection to me is more important than doing a podcast. I love connecting, and I was just so impressed with just who you are as a person and your story. And it's like, wow, there's such a difference in who we are, but there's also a lot that's so similar, because being who we are as human beings and friends makes no difference. And I'm just really excited to connect with you, and especially after what we're going to talk about in a few minutes with what you've just attended in an event that's just really impacted your life. We all, I want to say we all need to go to events like that. And we really do, because we need to have our hearts and our minds completely flipped out of the way we've been thinking into the way we should be thinking. So with that, just open up and share with me what is on your mind right now as you've been waiting to get on this show.
Listen, I am actually, well, there are different things, but I am first, when I speak about my journey, you really shared how my journey shaped me and my story of adversity. I went through devastating things, and I feel especially in the last 3 years, it's been one traumatic event after another one, and I was really on this roller coaster of adversity. And I went through very, very difficult separation and divorce from a person I really loved. I felt kind of a, not that I couldn't really find their inner resources to rebuild, but rather than having a broken heart and being in a foreign country. I'm currently residing in Chile, where I moved because I'm also a refugee here because of the war and everything. So I went crazy, and I had to rebuild my life from scratch with a broken heart, with no connection, no language, no job, nothing, in a new country, very, very far away. Chile is like on the other side of the world. And I did everything, through my commitment to overcome adversity, to find inner resources, to know that there's something else out there. And it took me a lot of inner work and trauma healing and meditation and journaling and recognizing auto-sabotage, because I went on a roller coaster of feeling better and better after the divorce, and I chose unhealthy coping mechanisms in this point, and which we all do.
We all do.
We do. But there was a moment when I decided that I need to take charge of my life, and my past doesn't define my future. And I started getting into psychology, neuroscience, mindfulness, to really cry in my room every single day. But I had to take a decision that I am in charge of my life. And as I rebuilt my life, in a new country alone, I learned the language. I speak Spanish perfectly.
That is
Well,
so great.
I
You
think
speak
that's
English so
what I
perfectly.
think.
It's so great. You sound
And
great.
then, of course, there was this huge impact of my family, because my ex-husband is actually Ukrainian. I'm a Russian. Imagine, I have also half of the family there. I'm still very good relationship with my in-laws, and and it's just been a really, really difficult moment. And as my family is all torn apart. My brother is in different countries because of the war. They cannot live in Russia because we all have been in a very different countries. And as I have been dealing with that divorce and that kind of a difficult situation, a foreign country alone with no resources, then supporting my family through, torn apart in all the different countries, all of us. My sister committed suicide just 11.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I read your post on that, and just the beautiful pictures of her and your heart, and I just want you to know it was very brave of you to post that, and very kind for her, and very well written, and yeah, it was a beautiful, beautiful post. I just wanted to tell you that personally.
And I'm obviously still grieving. We're still going through a roller coaster of the emotions every single
Sure.
day. But through this time, it's like I felt like, why why me? Why it keeps coming to me, and me, all this trauma, all this adversity, all this, horrible, like, most of the people, like we all do go through something, but like one after another, and in the span of 3 years only. And I felt like it's testing me, testing me, testing me. No, because I felt that there is a deeper calling, that I was higher calling that I had to. And if at that moment I didn't come to that, destiny would give me another thing. So I would come to that destiny, to come to that calling that I had to find my purpose in life. And throughout all this adversity, I started coaching people. I started coaching because I learned a lot of things that really were helping me to rebound, bounce back, to face the life altering events. And what I have gone through, all the tools, I started sharing with people, and I found out that everybody's suffering, everybody is going through their own stories and everything, and we are universal. It's all about healing, about being intentional with your healing. And I started coaching people, and I found so attuned in helping people. And then when my sister committed suicide, a lot of tools that worked for me to go from that one traumatic experience are helping me still, right now. But I started to focus on mental health, on showing, because it's all about you really reclaiming the power despite the circumstances. And I am right now delighted to say that I have found my calling, my purpose through all this adversity. I transitioned from 10 years in corporate experience. I have 10 years behind me in the corporate world, and transition to all the impact driven ventures right now that are just flowing. And I know that I'm devoted right now to helping and healing this world through my action, through my venture, through my message. I turned eventually my mess into my message. And I am right now being incredibly honored and privileged to meet people around the world who are on the same missions, who are helping me in this adventure. And this is also my way of honoring the memory of my sister, and to carry her legacy through this, because she has been battling mental health illness for many years, and this is my way of how I can turn her death, that she didn't die in vain, and carry on that message throughout to help heal this world.
Wow, that's how long have you been? How long have you been in the in Chile? Like when did you leave Russia and Ukraine and your homeland?
Well, as you said in the introduction, I won an English competition when I was 15, and I left Russia and I spent 1 year in Texas, in San Antonio.
Wow.
I couldn't choose. I chose, but it was still, for a Russian from who grew up in the post-Soviet times and 90s,
Wow.
etc. And for me, just to move to, we only knew about US and like high school movies, So we were like, oh
Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
all these pep rallies, all these, like lockers in the high school, all these like love romantic stories, and I
Yeah.
was 15, So I was like, oh, it's so cool to go to US. But I had an incredible experience. I lived 1 year in the host family. They actually had two daughters adopted from Russia. They were younger, but they did take exchange students from post-Soviet countries to get their daughters connected to their heritage. I had a nice experience, but the most important thing is that after this experience, I was like, the world is open to me. There is more to see. So I made a decision to leave Russia, because I'm very curious. I'm a very into growth, I developed that kind of passion to learning new culture, new perspective, always questioning, who said that? It is my school, my society, my background, my religion, anything. So I grew up with this passion for challenging the paradigms. And later I pursued double major in international relations and political science, because I was really wanted to, go into exploring other and seeing the differences, and also in business. And eventually it ended up with 10 years in business world. But now I'm still a global citizen. I traveled the globe for last 15 years. After I left Russia after 1 year, and at 17 I left, and I've been living in 40. I visited 44 countries, lived on all the continents except Australia, and and you in and I and then Africa also I haven't lived there, but I would want to say that I lived in South America, North America, Eurasia, or Europe and Asia, and Asia as well. I lived in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, traveled all there, but it's just me be having this long passion for exploring, for questioning, for curiosity, and yeah, that's I'm pretty much I am able to connect with any culture, to see any perspective, and I think that's a gift that I am able to really understand people and don't come to everybody with non-judgmental perspective. I think that my experience really, not only my background, but also my adversity made me really connect with people, because we all coming from different paths, with different perspective, with different stories, different traumas, and to really be able to connect through love and compassion and kindness to whoever, because we are eventually we all one, we are all energy, we are all here just trying to have our peace of mind. And
Yes, humans are humans, and we're all looking for something. And it's interesting how love and kindness and care is such a huge part of recovery. It's a huge part of mental health. It's a huge part of a successful community, society, culture, everything. It's not like, hey, thanks for the flower. I mean, it is absolutely critical for success in mankind on planet Earth. No matter where you go, and you don't even have. It doesn't matter what language you speak. It doesn't matter where you live. But it's really important that number one is the money we make doesn't matter. Our lifestyle doesn't matter. It's where our heart is. And you can communicate with people from a completely different culture if you're humble and you care and you love and you've worked through your own challenges, so that you're not thinking about what happened to you and all the things that you've been carrying, and we all do, and you and I understand that. So how do we let go of that load and become the people that you and I are today, where we can give out of the tragedy that we've had? I wanted to ask you, because I was curious about this. It says you're opening up a mental health center. I don't know if this is. Are you still doing this, like to help reduce teen suicide rates?
absolutely. So it's actually been, as I say, with the suicide of my sister, it's really, I feel with the world right now, suicide rates are going only up. I firsthand experienced the trouble and struggle that my little sister went through. She was just 22 when she committed suicide last year. And we have been battling that. She had a bipolar disease and borderline personality disorder at the same time. So it's a combination of a very difficult condition for a young person. And I don't want to really say how much it affects the family, but I can only say that depression is very real. Struggle is very real. For a young child, she has been very brave, and she was struggling, and she was battling it very, very long. We tried a lot of things, but eventually she was studying in a university in Poland, and Poland is on the border with Ukraine. And she faced a lot of discrimination. And I know it's not about politics right now, but I want to just encourage people to be kind to one another, because Russians do face a lot of discrimination around the world, and it affects young children.
Yes, yes,
A lot
yes.
of Russian young children also commit suicide because they are not equipped to deal with so much hate and discrimination that come towards Russians just because they are part of
I can
by
tell you, I love Russians. I've met some Russian
by
friends
associations.
and
They are
Ukrainians. Oh, it's so great. I volunteer at a food bank every Saturday morning, and there's a few Ukrainians that come in, and they're so great. They're so kind. They're wonderful people. And there are Russians that come in too, and it's like, I never look at them like, oh, what's happening over there? No, it's not. They don't even think about it. And we ask them if there's anything we can pray for them. And we pray for their families and what's going on. And my point is to be open minded and just care for people with where they are and what they're going through. All through life, all through the centuries, there's the challenges politically and economically and environmentally that are there. And put all that aside and put your heart out to people and care for them.
Absolutely. So it just a kind of wake up call to don't judge people just because where they're coming from or what the political system they grew up in, because there are a lot of, she faced a lot of discrimination. And for a person with unstable mental uh, condition, she just couldn't really face that much. It was obviously it was not a reason, but it was amplified by the hate and discrimination she faced. And eventually she did commit suicide, but that made me really wake up to how we have to keep the conversation open, that say that depression is real, because there's so much stigma around mental health, about around, people don't right now, we're still a part of a generation that are like, don't go to therapy. Maybe younger people are like, oh, like now it's growing, in terms of therapy and psychologists. Now every young person should have
Yes, yeah,
it.
it's great.
But with our previous generation, it's still some like, it's not normal to go to therapy. We still kind of like, no, it's just only for freaks, like and I want to change that, because everybody is experiencing trauma, everybody's conditioned by the environment, politics, society, religion, anything. Everybody really has sorry shit to go and work through.
Yeah,
But a lot of people don't talk about this because it's a
yeah,
taboo around the mental
yeah,
health.
yeah.
With me facing it firsthand, I just cannot stay still, because talking about this saves lives. And the young children are right now going crazy because they're not equipped, with what is this life. They grew up with technology, with internet, with comparison,
Oh
with
my gosh, I know. Yes.
unrealistic expectation. I know that social media is full crap.
Yeah.
It's not real life. And so me going through this, I just want to really destigmatize mental health problems, say that everybody has trauma to heal, everybody has to really take charge in their mental health. And with that, I have been really devoted in the last few months to see how I could impact that. And physically being here in Chile, I am happy is to say that I'm opening a mental health center this year here, first in Santiago, with the idea to provide. I'm really big advocate of preventive programs before it gets too late. So our mental health program is a curriculum that I've built and developed, which is going to target people from 6-year-olds until 24 years with different age groups, with preventive programs around resilience, emotional intelligence, coping skills, digital media, social media literacy,
Sure. Yeah.
and we're going to have a individual and group therapy for people to really have being equipped with tools and maybe prevent, the crisis before it's too late. And also I want to, a lot of people don't have resources to get psychological help when they need it. And so I'm happy to mobilize some of the wealthier families to subsidize some of the therapy for people who need it the most, because eventually we all need resources, and it's really unfair and unjust that some people cannot get the proper psychological help when they need it. And with that being said, my long term is to really to reduce suicide rates in this country, and later on, I really want to take it on a global level, and to really to make sure that every young person has tools and resources to get the not only inner resources and abilities to cope with the challenges and adversity of life, but also to really know that they're not alone, and that it's normal to have struggles, to have these suicide thoughts, to really to get that help that probably my little sister didn't have. She didn't see the light in the end of the tunnel, and it's my mission to really provide that light to young children and young adults to right now to know that they are enough, that they are loved, they are not alone, and there are people who can help them and who care deeply.
My goodness. I just love what you're saying. I've got so many questions for you. Um, so I'm curious with where you are now. because I used to work for Fortune 500 companies, so strategy has been a huge thing for me. Strategy, marketing, rollout, roadmaps, and you need that. Obviously, you have that to get started and to get it going. I'm curious what kind of a so you just went to. I'm saying this for a reason. You just attended a really good event. And you went to you attended an event called The Power Within with Tony Robbins, and that is like unleashing the power within, which is if you've never attended a Tony Robbins event or read any of his books or followed him, that's going to change your life, no doubt. And you've just taken that, and I'm wondering, I'm curious. I'm curious about your roadmap, in a sense, with having taken that, all these things in front of you. What are your steps? What do you see you doing in the next? There's we always call it a 2 to 5 year program to roll out your business. How do you see things happening for you? And did attending that event change anything for you?
Well, listen, I have been in a personal growth space for the last 10 years because my career started in Mind Valley, which is one of the top leading personal growth companies. So I worked with a lot of spiritual, transformational teachers like Michael Beckwith, Lisa Nichols, Dr. Mark Hyman, in different Bob Proctor, Joe Dispenza was a part of this. All of this. So my journey started at 22. So I've been meditating for the last 10 years, and I've been on a personal and spiritual growth for the last 10 years. So I only had like a base on like a spiritual. I believe that the like business is spiritual game. Like the more you really know what you want, the more you visualize your future self. And it helped me in all, I built a very successful career in corporate and startup world for the last 10 years and marketing and operations and growth. And so there's a little kind of a switch that I did. So I believe my strength is that I'm very, very equipped with both strategy and tools and marketing and networking abilities and everything, which is all business side. But they're also very, very spiritual, and I'm very intentional about everything I do. So Tony Robbins is actually not I've read his books ever since I was 22. I'm a very avid reader. In 2016, I read 54 books. I was like, I'm going
Wow.
a week, and I did it because I'm very like goal oriented and I just take action. I don't sit on an idea too long. So if something comes up to me, I'm like, I need to take an action. Well, so as I said, there is this business side and all this business thing that I developed over the last 10 years in different areas. And, I also run my own company with my ex-husband. We had a digital marketing agency. We had 15 people employed around the globe, and so it's always a strategy, execution, marketing, sales, networking, getting clients, all that thing. Also me as HR, I was running the team. And then there is a spiritual part, or there's more intentional part, and business is pretty much 80% psychology and 20% tactics and mechanics. And these tactics.
You went out again. I've never had this happen. I can tell you, I've got like super duper uber powerful Wi-Fi, so it's got to be happening on your end. Are you using Wi-Fi?
Maybe I can switch. I can switch to.
I use cable. It's direct cable connection. That has not happened.
I switch it to a phone Wi-Fi.
Phone Wi-Fi? Phone Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Are you connected to your phone now?
Yes. Okay. Exactly what I'm saying. 80% psychology, but 20% technology tactics, AI, everything is changing. We have to really, as innovative, I'm very innovative and very creative in how I approach business. So I'm like, we have to innovate. We have to be on top of the game to really keep up with tactical mechanics. And I learned from the best. I'm really intentional what I read, what I study, I model proven practices. This is mechanics, right? I just see who does it the best in the world, with strategies, and I learn from them. And Tony Robbins is one of them. He's a strategist. But 80% of all the business success is psychology. And this is kind of with where I get into my proper work, my inner work with my past, healing my trauma, but also being intentional about how I believe about what I believe about myself. Do I believe that I can achieve it? If you believe, how Henry Ford said, if you believe you can and you can't, you are right. So
That's right.
my way of really know that I am capable of achieving something. It's so much psychological work, but then
Yes.
there's visualization, there's meditation, there's intention setting, there is really keeping up in a peak state, because success is pretty much about keeping the emotion. If you go to be low like this, are you going to achieve success? If you're going to walk like this, are you going to? No. So I have to really work and believe in myself. And this way solutions come in, creative ideas come in, contacts come in, networking goes great, fundraising goes great, everything, because I believe in my mission. I believe in my power. I work through this every single day. I have like 12 vision boards of what I want to achieve. And this is what keeps me momentum. And every single day I take an action because I have clear idea where I want to be. What is my, this most important thing is, if you have enough reasons why, you will find a way.
That's right.
But most people don't have the strong why they're
That's
doing it.
right.
So maybe even me was going through this like 10 years of career building in the corporate world, or, which is a traditional business world. And I didn't eventually feel fulfilled. I knew that there was something else, that I'm meant for more. And I had to go through all this adversity and hardships and this pain, to be honest, this
Yes.
crazy,
Yes.
really find myself. And now I wake up, I know my why so deep that I found myself that my healing with the world and helping people through different walks of life is something that keeps me up in the morning. And opportunities come and creative ideas come in, and different contacts, just like you just approach me because you know that there is a
Oh,
message.
I'm totally geared in. I'm totally
And,
connected.
and this is not about the money. Money
No,
will
no,
come.
no, 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 no,
But
no.
me waking up every single day happy
Yes.
of the world and making less suffering in the world, this is what gets tears to my eyes,
Yes.
because
Yes.
I have been lost, for the last 10 years, because I thought that maybe it's that society wants, I want to get a good degree, and go into, and eventually when all this tragedy happened and I found my purpose and my mission, now there is absolutely no feeling of like doubt or why I'm leaving. There
Or
is like
insecurity or
security, because I'm so connected with my mission, my purpose, and actually the higher calling, the universe, the God, the higher power, the power in yourself, the I don't know, whoever what you believe. I'm so connected with my higher calling, to the source, to the oneness and wholeness, that I don't have any doubt of me that I can achieve something. And I think that when a person really taps into this, there is absolutely no fear of what people will say, or judgment, or
no.
seeking validation. This is all crap, because I don't care if you don't have to explain people. If you are connected with your mission, I don't care if they go. Please go. I don't have to prove myself to anyone, because I'm whole and connected and I have a purpose. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to go through so much darkness and pain and trauma to really wake up. You just have to really realize that you need to find something to hold on to your life, to find meaning, because otherwise you'll feel lost. You will really feel more miserable, and really try to dig into understanding what's the meaning and purpose of your life. And I guarantee most of the times, and probably 99% of the times, it's somehow connected to giving to others. And
Yes.
it's giving kindness and love, or resources, or knowledge, or advice, or money, whatever you have. But be a go-giver, because eventually, whatever you give out into the universe, it comes back to you. So you
That's
don't have to go
right.
through all the pain to really realize that your mission and your purpose is to be the light for other people. Because yes, you do get the darkness to become that, to reach that level of light. But I just encourage everybody to really be kind and loving to everyone, no matter the circumstance, because everybody is battling a journey, battling something that we don't know about. So, and your word, your smile, your how the energy, what you reach out, give out into the world, it is impacting other people. So knowing how contagious your energy can be, the bad energy and the good energy, just try to be the light, the love, and the kindness and compassion, and treat everybody with that, because eventually you will elevate their life and maybe save the life.
Yes, and everybody's different. They don't have to be like you. They don't have to be like me. You have your own energy, you have your own personality, and you need to discover who you are and be that person. You don't have to imitate somebody, but you need to find out who you are, because we're all so very different, and our kindness will look the same, feel the same, sound the same, and how we make a difference will actually have very common results. And it's so great running into so many different people, and especially just in like my everyday life is more important to me than what am I doing in all the things I'm doing here in front of my computer. When I go out and have to get something from the grocery store, that means more to me than whatever I do on my computer. It means everything. And I never used to step out of my house thinking that way. It was always very low. And you know this, you had the same thing. You walk out feeling low. And to get to this place, it's an amazing place to be. I love it. And I'm like you, I could care less about the money and the lifestyle. And I am so excited. You know what's interesting? Because you're so young and I'm so old. But the time in your life doesn't matter.
Uh, Age is a mindset.
It doesn't matter, right? There's a lot of people that are in my age bracket. I get so many people reaching out to me that are I just turned 60 last week, and I'm like, what happened? Right? I don't feel 60. I'm not going to act 60. And I gave up on trying to find somebody to date or marry, because everybody's way too young. Everybody in my age just seems to be, I don't know, different. It's all right. I'm happy single, but you need to be who you are in yourself, and you can deliver and make a difference in so many people's lives when you're in this space. I'm so happy for you, so proud of you, and I'm very impressed with who you are as a human being.
Thank you so much for your kind words. Just also want to say, I've been through a very, very difficult divorce, very separation, with a broken heart, with a person I love with all my heart. And yeah, I know how it feels to really feel the feelings of unlovable, like that I'm unlovable, unworthy, that I cannot do it on my own. I lost all the hope, I didn't have a clear direction. But eventually, I think that you have to really work on what you're in,
Yes, you do.
not to try to connect your self-worth. It's the feeling of self-worth to your past or your past mistakes, because your past mistake is not your identity. It's
That's right.
your opportunity for growth, for valuable lessons, and to decision if you want to change something. So I had to go through a lot of shadow and trauma work to really uncover that my worth is not dependent on my past, on my failed marriage. It is something that who I really am. And the moment I really stepped into my power of healing and helping people, oh, now I feel so whole. I feel I don't need any external validation. I don't need, I'm happy single, I'm happy in a relationship. It is not really dependent like on another person
It's
or
a great
another
place to be.
accomplishment or thing. And that's why I'm like, it's not what I drive, where I live, how I look, nothing, because I
Yeah,
feel so connected with my source, my purpose, my contribution to the world, that no matter the external circumstances, I know I'm on the right path. I feel good about myself, about who I am. And this beautiful, beautiful, wonderful state, all I care about is elevating the vibration of humanity.
yes, yes, me
Oh,
too.
I say, like, what do you do for a living? I say, I am trying to elevate the vibration of humanity, because people need more vibes, need more energy, like energy. We know the highest frequency, vibrational frequency of peace and love and compassion and
That's
understanding.
right. That's right.
So when I am in this state, and it took me a lot of forgiveness of other people, forgiveness of my parents, forgiveness of my society, forgiveness of myself.
Yeah.
And forgiveness eventually is for you. It's not for the other person. And the moment I started forgiving and being understanding to anybody from all the walks of life, and trying to not to be with perception, but with perspective, putting myself in the shoes of another person. no matter its social economic background, no matter their political affiliation or their religious affiliation, where they stand, even if they done harm to me, I am trying to work through this and forgiveness and to anyway to try
Yes.
to connect it because we are all one. And people need more peace and unity in this world, especially when the world is so divided. And this is my goal to really elevate and be, the vibrational frequency of the planet and heal the world.
Yes.
Because I went through so much trauma. I went through so much eternal healing that now I cannot see. I can it brings tears to my eyes to see how much suffering there is. So I will do everything in my power to really try to be always kind and loving and compassionate and really be in that frequency of peace and understanding to everybody. So, and I just want to again encourage everybody to come with a very, loving place, heart center place to try to connect. Stop gossiping about other people. Stop, saying bad things about things, because those things, they really come back to you. Because eventually, if you love another person, you love yourself. If you are harming another person through your action, your words, your whatever it is, you're harming yourself eventually. So this is also, yeah, I just want to encourage everybody to be love and kindness wherever they go, to be understanding, not judgmental, stop gossiping, stop focusing on really what you can contribute to this world. Get a life. Don't focus on other
It's
people.
so easy to hear, and it's so difficult to do if you don't get it. If you haven't been through the experience of having either someone help you or a message, or it's interesting how it comes to you. It's not because you went to an event. It's not just one thing. It's there's a path in your life, and everything happens for a reason. Every single person listening to this episode, there is a reason. It's not just an episode. It's not. There's a reason why this happened. As a matter of fact, you go back years. You were in Russia. I'm in Western Canada, and this was meant to happen. I believe that 100%. And there's so much that we're making an impact in our lives without even knowing it. And there's so much is on social media and what you need to do. Being a TikTok person or this or that means absolutely nothing. It's do you I mean, the big thing for me is you got to love yourself as you love your neighbor. Just that one sentence alone is massive in itself.
and and love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Love your neighbor as yourself. So how do you do that? Well, you got to attend the course. I'm just kidding. But that's what life needs to be, because your neighbor is anybody. Anybody, and it's a tough thing to deal with, but it's a powerful thing to deal with. I had to go through the point of where I was when I sued my one of my abusers. How do you forgive that person? And then, I mean, I had three of them. And I'm at this point where I'm supposed to forgive these people? Like what? And I had to go through that. Like how? And I did. I did go through that. That's going to be my documentary. Like what happened? It is mind-boggling that it actually happened. I can't. It's hard for me to believe that I did that and meant it. And then that opens doors in your life to different places. It changes who you are, and you're relating to all of this. And I know that in your walk. So I mean, this is cool. We're close to an hour. Gimme. Can you give us? I don't know if this is. I'm sure this will be. You're just a little powerhouse here, so you can answer this question. So as we come close to the end, can you give, like, I don't know, like three steps going from where you are to where you and I are, of this freedom and this strength and the peace in your life. What kind of three things would you give us, or maybe more, maybe less, or whatever? Just what does that process look like for people that are just listening to this and they're where we used to be?
Cool. So this is actually very great. It's something I do also in my coaching. So the first thing is you cannot change a person who doesn't want to change. So, and I really know that not everybody will be in this journey, and it just how it is. Some people are just so comfortable with where they are that they don't want to have any change. So you have to really come to the moment when you're like, I want to change something about my life. I cannot be anymore as where I am, because you really need to make a decision that this is how, because change is automatic, progress is not. But change is the very first point in time when you decide, I don't want anymore the life I want. I really want to do and change something. And if you come to this point, then the doors are open how you can change.
Yes.
Ever
Okay.
feel
I like
those
that.
close to, that there are no ways or don't connect to your past, but you have to really know that you want to change something about your life. And this is self-awareness, right? So
Yes.
really try to challenge your thinking every single day, being aware of every single thought that you have in your brain. Second, the biggest force in human personality is staying consistent with how you define yourself. Really try to identify, like, what do you believe about yourself? Do you believe that you are a bad person, or you're like, you're just fucked, sorry, for the rest of your life because of your economics, because your economy, president, parents,
Can't
whatever?
change anything.
You change it, and it's external locus of control. I cannot control it. I'm a part of this. I'm a part of a system. This is my, this is how I am. Or you really believe that you have the power, you have the resources, this is your identity, you are maker of your reality, what you can control. And I think all the successful people really know that they are in control of their life and that they are not victimization and mindset of victimization is something that will stop you, and you will stay where you are and you will probably die miserable and maybe alone. So just the most successful, you need to understand that you are in control. There is, locus and control is internally.
So let
There's
me say, add something. You need to add something to that, because what if you're talking to someone, like when you say that to me, I'm like, I totally get it. I was in no control when I was abused. I had no control. But so the question is, people are going to say, well, I didn't do this. I had no control over this. You know where I'm going. So how do you take these events in your life that you didn't have control over? And I know what you mean by you do have control. But what would you say to someone where they're listening and going, well, I didn't have control over this?
Absolutely. And it's actually a lot of deep inner work that takes months and years to do. And the first thing is you have to really try to identify what are your limiting beliefs. I do this with my coaching clients. There are people but actually some of the coaching clients, it's not only about like, we all have it, we experience trauma, but there have some people who are like, I'm sick, it's my genetics, I cannot get out of the house. I have never, another person just told me, I have never been able to smile in my whole life. Another person say, I cannot leave my house because of how depressed I am. And I'm like working through, what are your limiting beliefs? And a lot of things about health, for example, or about any situation is like, I'm doomed, my parents had the cancer, so it's genetics, or, I'm not enough, I'm sorry, but like my sister felt that she is mentally ill, so she's like, doesn't belong to this world, that is just like, she is a victim to her illness. It's a limiting belief. So, you have to really go really, really deep inside of
Yes,
you. What are the self-limiting beliefs that are stopping me? And this is how, like, but again, it comes back to the first thing. If you think that you don't need to change anything, you're just okay, a lot of people don't really feel comfortable to go deep inside and feel like, no, I actually
that's
feel
right.
miserable, because it's uncomfortable. And people are really like, your brain is wired to be in a survival mode, to separate you from all these negative feelings. You want to protect yourself as much. So going into uncomfortable and
That's right.
unfamiliar, very difficult. So when you find yourself in a situation that you are like, I'm doomed because I'm a part of the system, or I'm part of this, the president is bad, my health is genetics, just what is stopping you? Because really, the more you go into your shadow work and the more you go into your self-limiting beliefs, the more you free yourself from it, the more you liberate. Number one thing is being really, really clear, that being really aware that this is something that stops you, and then you can like reevaluate, how does this belief about yourself is going to, like, how do you see if you stick with that belief, how do you see your life in 5 years and 10 years and 20 years? Where are you going to be? If you feel like
You
you're
know,
not good enough, if you don't think that you have resources, you don't have time, you don't have money, you are too young, you're too old, you have education, you were born in a different country, where does this belief will take you in 5 years, in 10 years? What will be the worst case scenarios, consequences of this belief? And the more you go into this and really visualize it, very painful. And you will probably not go after resources, not going after potential. You will never unleash your potential. And you'll probably never really have a successful, fulfilling life and end up, on the street. And maybe even God forbid, you will, not have your life and end up dying. I'm sorry. Because of that limiting belief is stopping you from really clearly looking as what is the empowering thought, so it's really all about rewiring the brain. Most of my coaching is based on neuroscience and taking the limiting beliefs and
yeah,
reshape wiring them, and it's through consistent action, consistent meditation, consistent really self-awareness practices that we're rewiring people from very bad situations of where they feel stuck, unlovable, unworthy, sick, to really what is that new mindset that they really need, the psychology. And it's a lot of deeper inner work, but only the
yeah,
person
it
who's
is.
open to this will be able to change.
You know,
And the third, you asked me three, is really believe that it's possible. Believe that you can achieve it. Believe that you can change the course of your life, that you can bounce back from any adversity, through any pain, through any trauma, through any kind of a horrible situation. Have a faith, belief in whatever higher power you believe. Have believe in yourself, in your personal inner resources, that it's not the end. There are stories around the world globally that people are survivors of horrible, horrible situations. But you need to have a belief that there's something else, there's something meaning to all the struggle you're going through, because it will eventually, as you said before, there is a reason why it happens. It reaches you in the right time, in the right moment, because you maybe were not ready for this before.
that's right.
Up and always know that there's hope, there is always change, there is always abilities. There are tons and tons of great examples of how people were able to overcome this adversity, bounce back as a really more fulfilled and stronger and purposeful human beings.
That was a very powerful. I really appreciate how you answered those questions, because that was really good. And one of the things I was thinking about when you were saying that, and you mentioned it, other people have it worse than you. And I encourage people to think about, there is no question that there's going to be somebody that has it worse than you, and they have overcome. If they can overcome, you can overcome. It just removes all doubt, everything. If they've done it, you can do it. They're worse than you. The question is, how did they do it? And everybody has very similar pathways on how they overcame and how they got to be in the a state of their lives where they've overcome all the challenges and adversities. And that was just awesome. This was great. This was great. I can see us doing this again. I'm looking forward to staying in touch with you and following your success as you go. And I'm looking forward to promoting this show for sure, and getting people to listen to it. And it was just a real blessing to me to hear from you on this topic. It was incredible.
Thank you
I
so
really
much
appreciate it.
and here is to changing the world through our kind actions, through compassion and love, in doing whatever we can to elevate this humanity and to really make lives of other people better. Thank you so much for being on the show.
You're so very welcome, Roxy. We'll do this again, and all the best to you. You're an amazing woman.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks.